The Cause here with you for Joe McDonald's NewYorkSportsDay.com. Well, the tennis world knows this guy as a preeminent sports journalist, but the ball bounces well beyond the lines for Richard Evans, and we will talk about some of that. Richard, we're here at the U.S. Open. What's catching your eye here?
Well, I think it's a very unusual US Open because, for a start, we don't have all the top four men who've dominated the tour to such an astounding extent over the past decade. So that's opened up one side of the draw because Andy Murray pulled out at the last moment. So Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer ended up in the same half, which was a bit of not a mistake on anybody's part. It was just unlucky. Anyway, so as a result of that, we've got the Sam Querreys and the Kevin Andersons coming through. We don't know who's going to make it through to the final, which makes it all the more interesting, something different. And in the women's game, it's very much the same thing. No Serena Williams, because she was busy doing something else. But Maria Sharapova reappeared and played 3 matches, not at her best. You couldn't expect that. But, of course, the opening night with Simona Halep was a great occasion. Maria came through that test, which was a very tough one for her. And then couldn't quite get it past Sevastova, who has gone on to show what a good player she was, nearly beat Sloane Stephens. But American tennis has taken a step up with the women because we've got Madison Keys in there as well and Coco Vandeweghe and, of course, Venus. We always have Venus, apparently. I mean, she has had the most incredible year. Finalist in Australia, finalist at Wimbledon, making a big showing here at the US Open, and at the age of 37. I mean, what a performance.
Indeed impressive. The roving eye. A reporter's romance with Paris, with politics, with sport. You're sharing yourself with the world.
Yes, it was a bit daunting. But I kept on telling these stories to people, and they said, you've got to write a book, you've got to write a book. And I have done a lot of other things other than tennis. I was a foreign correspondent for 7 years in New York and Paris with trips to Vietnam and Cambodia. And so I wanted to get all that down. I thought, well, I will write my life story. So I just started at the beginning, born in Paris, 1939, got out of France as a tiny baby, out of Bordeaux a week after Dunkirk. Anybody seeing the movie? My family and I were still in France during Dunkirk. And apparently the Germans were 9 miles behind us when we climbed aboard the boat. Anyway, so that was a bit hair-raising. I only know about it from my parents and my sister. But then I went on to go in the British Army for 2 years, national service, and get a job very young in journalism. And I hope what the book does show is a little bit of an idea for young journalists getting into the game. Hopefully they'll get a job, which is more and more difficult now. But if they're trying to freelance in any way, my message from the book is go, be there. You're not going to get jobs sitting on your counter at home expecting the phone to ring or the whatever device one holds these, the keyboard to get messages. It's not going to happen. If you go somewhere where you know something's happening or going to happen, if you can look ahead, then if you're there, you'll pick up work. Because people always want someone on the spot. So that's the message from the book, and I hope young aspiring journalists who read it sort of get that message and maybe learn a few tips.
Amazon?
Amazon?
Yes, we can get the book on Amazon.
You can certainly get it on Amazon. I think Barnes & Noble have a few copies, and I hope people find it covers a lot of ground. I covered the politics of 1968. I was in Chicago, 68. Unfortunately, unhappily, tragically, we covered the assassination of Martin Luther King. I was there 6 hours later in Memphis, and of Bobby Kennedy, who was an extraordinary politician, somebody who should have become president of the United States, and what a different world we'd be living in if he had become president. But all that was fascinating. I did that for 7 years and then got dragged back into tennis by working for the ATP for a time.
Richard Evans, thanks for roving that eye with us today. Great to see you.
Thank you very much, Cos. Appreciate it.
the cause here with you. For Joe McDonald's, NewYorkSportsDay.com.